Section 11. Advertising. Arizona Commissioner Standards. Requirements for licensees. Introduction. The post that got the call. Jessica posted what she thought was a great listing on Instagram. Beautiful photos, a catchy caption, dream home with luxury upgrades and unbeatable location. Within hours, it had likes, comments, and even a few inquiries. Later that week, her broker called her into the office. The issue wasn't the home, it was the post. No brokerage name, language that could be considered misleading, no clear identification that a licensed agent was involved. That's when Jessica realized something every Arizona licensee must learn. Advertising is not just marketing, it is regulated communication. Every post, flyer, email, and website is subject to Arizona law, and even small mistakes can turn into compliance issues quickly. What counts as advertising in real estate? Under Arizona law, advertising includes anything designed to directly or indirectly induce a person to enter into a real estate transaction. This is much broader than most agents realize. It includes not only traditional flyers and MLS listings, but also Instagram posts, Facebook ads, YouTube videos, email campaigns, text messages, and even a simple just listed post in a neighborhood group. If the goal is to attract interest in a property or real estate service, it is considered advertising. For example, if an agent posts a video walkthrough of a home on TikTok, that is advertising. If an agent sends an email blast saying, "Best investment properties in Phoenix," that is advertising. Even a coming soon teaser with photos is advertising. Jessica realized that everything she put out publicly, no matter how casual, was being regulated. Accuracy and truthfulness, where agents get in trouble. Arizona requires that all advertising be truthful, accurate, and not misleading. This is where many agents unintentionally violate the rules. Words matter, descriptions matter, even tone matters. For example, calling a home fully remodeled when only the kitchen was updated can be misleading. Saying no HOA when there is a small community fee can create liability. Advertising a property as waterfront when it backs to a seasonal wash instead of a permanent body of water can lead to complaints. Jessica started noticing how often agents stretch descriptions to make properties sound better. She realized that the safest approach is simple. If a statement could be misunderstood by a buyer, it should either be clarified or not used at all. Another example is using phrases like guaranteed appreciation or perfect investment. These are not just marketing phrases. They can be interpreted as promises, which can create serious legal exposure. Broker identification, the most common violation. One of the most common advertising violations in Arizona is failing to properly identify the employing broker. Every advertisement must clearly and prominently display the broker's license name. This applies to everything: social media bios, listing posts, email signatures, business cards, and websites. Jessica reviewed her own Instagram profile and realized it only had her name and phone number. No brokerage. That alone was a violation. Another agent in her office had a personal brand logo that was larger than the brokerage name, making the brokerage almost invisible. That can also be a problem if the broker's name is not clear and prominent. The rule is simple. The public must know who you work for. Personal branding is allowed, but it cannot replace or hide the brokerage identity. No hidden agent advertising. Arizona law prohibits advertising that implies no licensee is involved in a transaction. This often happens in for sale by owner situations. For example, if an agent helps a friend market a home but posts it as if it's a private sale, that creates a misleading impression. Another example is an agent advertising investment properties without disclosing that they are acting as a licensee. Jessica saw an agent post, "I have off-market deals, DM me," with no mention of being licensed. That is advertising real estate services and must include proper disclosure. If you are involved as a licensee, the public must know. Owner-agent disclosure. Don't skip this. If a licensee is selling their own property, the advertisement must include the term owner-agent. This is not optional. For example, if Jessica lists her own home and posts it online without that disclosure, she is violating the rule. The reason is simple. Buyers need to know they are dealing with someone who has both a financial interest and professional knowledge. Another example is an investor agent flipping homes. Every listing must clearly state owner-agent. Forgetting this small phrase can lead to compliance issues. Digital advertising, social media is not exempt. Many agents assume social media is less formal and therefore less regulated. That is not true. Arizona specifically includes electronic media as advertising. This means your Instagram story, Facebook reel, YouTube video, or personal website must all comply with the same rules. Jessica noticed agents posting, "Just sold this home," without identifying the brokerage or clarifying their role. Even that can be considered advertising and must be compliant. Another example is using filters or editing photos to enhance a property beyond reality. If the image creates a misleading impression, it can be a violation. Promotional activities. Be careful with incentives. Promotions and incentives must be clearly disclosed, including all terms, conditions, costs, and expiration dates. Agents also cannot describe incentives as prizes or awards unless they meet strict legal definitions. For example, offering a free TV with purchase without explaining conditions can be misleading. Another example is advertising free closing costs without clarifying that it depends on lender approval or price adjustments. Jessica realized that promotions must be crystal clear, no hidden terms, no vague language. Development advertising, where mistakes get expensive. Advertising new developments or projects comes with even stricter rules. Developers must accurately represent the property and disclose when features are proposed rather than completed. For example, showing a community with a resort-style pool, clubhouse, and walking trails when those features are not yet built requires clear disclosure that they are proposed. Another example is using artist renderings without labeling them as conceptual. Jessica saw a development ad that showed a full lake, but in reality, it was planned for a future phase. Without disclosure, that becomes misleading. If it doesn't exist yet, it must be clearly stated. Real-world example: the too good to be true listing. An agent advertised a home as having panoramic mountain views. When buyers arrived, they found that the view was partially blocked by neighboring homes. The agent argued that you could still see the mountains if you stood in the right spot. The buyers disagreed and filed a complaint. The issue wasn't whether the mountains were technically visible, it was whether the advertisement created a misleading impression. That's the standard Arizona uses. Bringing it all together, say it right or don't say it. Advertising in Arizona real estate comes down to a few key principles: be accurate, be clear, be transparent, and always identify your brokerage. Jessica stopped thinking of advertising as just marketing and started thinking of it as legal communication with the public. Every word, every image, and every claim must stand up to scrutiny. The agents who stay compliant are not the ones who say the most. They are the ones who say it correctly. Because in this business, it's not just about getting attention. It's about keeping your license while doing it. Online discussion. 1. Why does Arizona regulate real estate advertising so strictly, especially on social media? Answer: because advertising directly influences consumer decisions, and social media has expanded the reach of marketing, making it critical to ensure accuracy, transparency, and public protection. 2. What is the biggest risk of using exaggerated language in a property description? Answer: the biggest risk is that it may create a misleading impression, leading to complaints, disciplinary action, or legal liability, even if the exaggeration was unintentional. 3. Why is broker identification required in every advertisement? Answer: to ensure accountability and transparency so the public knows which brokerage is responsible for the representation and services being offered.